What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be doing a water pump replacement on this vehicle, specifically the 2013 Dodge Avenger. So first thing you want to do is we have to gain access by removing the passenger side wheels. So we're actually going to be lifting this car up, removing the wheel. Once you have your wheel off, there are some panels that you have to remove in order to gain access to the pulley system and specifically your water pump. So in order to gain access to this panel, we have to remove the inner fender liner here. So once you have your inner fender liner removed here, apparently there's like a breakaway up here that we were able to remove only part of it, which was nice. And then that'll gain you access to this next panel that you have to remove two 10mm bolts. And then once you remove those bolts, you remove that panel and you'll have full access to your serpentine belt system, all your pulleys. And it would be a good time to locate where your belt tensioner pulley is. So once you locate that, in this case it's a 15mm bolt, not a whole lot of room, but I'm showing you right here. If you turn it to a loosen, lefty loosey, righty tighty, right? You loosen this and you'll be able to actually visually see your serpentine belt start to loosen. You want to get that off of there. I can't do that with one hand, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove it anyways. And now that it is removed, locate your water pump pulley. As you can see, I started removing this bolt already. There's 3 of them in total. They're torqued down to 80 inch-pounds, so they're very easy to get out. Keep in mind that if you don't have enough room, just rotate the water pump pulley, start loosening your bolts, and you should be good. And once you have those little bolts removed, put them back in the pulley and place the pulley aside. This helps you not lose any of these tiny bolts. So once you locate your water pump, there should be some mounting bolts to the housing portion of that. You just want to locate all of them. You know, run your fingers around the outside. Some of them might be tucked away or out of sight. And once we get these loosened, we're just going to tap it with like a soft hammer, maybe a rubber hammer. And before we remove those mounting bolts, we want to make sure that we drain our coolant. If your drain valve is stuck or you can't drain from your drain valve or you don't have one, you can easily remove your lower coolant hose or lower radiator hose, and that'll dump all that coolant out. And just start removing your water pump mounting bolts. These should not be on there that tight. They're not very torqued down that tight. I think these are actually like 18 foot-pounds, so they're not that hard. But just make sure you have enough room. Next thing, we're just going to use a rubber hammer. You can use a soft blow hammer too. And then we're just going to tap this to try to get this off. And oh, Jesus. So apparently we didn't get all the coolant, but make sure you inspect your water pump once you have it off. As you can see, it has some sort of PVC or plastic impeller on there. It doesn't show any signs of failure, but obviously has wear. Compare it to your new water pump. We opted for a metal impeller, which should work nicely. Little tip, these new water pumps always come with what's called a weep hole. So once it's newly installed and you're running and you start leaking a little bit of coolant from that area, please do not freak out. This is completely normal. So once you have your water pump installed with the gasket and your bolts put in, hand tightened, you want to start torquing them down. In this case, it's not a whole lot of pressure. We're looking at 18 foot-pounds. You want to do this in a crisscross method. You don't want to go in a complete circle and rotation. Doing it crisscross allows us to evenly apply pressure and torque it down to the housing. So this is about 18 foot-pounds. You gotta wait for that click. There we go. And then you just move on to the next one. Then once you have your water pump all torqued down, we cleaned up our pulley here and put it on, hand tighten these bolts. And just make sure you check your torque specs on all bolts for this. It shouldn't be a whole lot of pressure. There should be a specific torque range, but not all the time is it available. Sometimes it's just, guess by hand. But in this case, we did find some torque specs for this. And as far as the pulley bolts are concerned, we're gonna do this at, I think, at 80 inch-pounds. 80 inch-pounds is where you want to be. So just make sure, I'm going around here on the pulley, and I might have to hold it with another hand here, so I might actually have to set this down a little bit for the phone. And then just grab a hold of the pulley and then wait for your clicks, and then just For this, I don't mind going around in a circle for, but you know, it's hard to just do a cross pattern when it's literally just a triangle. So we're just gonna go around clockwise on this, and then try to get our belt back on, and then reinstall your belt according to the diagram. If you can't find a diagram, you'll be able to find one online. Okay, we're over here at the grocery store, and yeah, we still haven't overheated at all. I even saw this temp gauge actually hit the quarter mark here, and then rise back up, and it's just balancing between those two. You know, you got to do sort of like a driving cycle. See, once that cycles all the way through, then you can actually see what you're working with and where you need to top off wherever it's needed. So we're gonna head in the store, let this cool down. I'll pop the hood, check the levels, and then we'll go from there. All right, so we are back. Looks like our overflow tank is still full. Let's just check in here. Engine's nice and cooled off. We got some liquid in here. We could probably top that off just a tiny bit, just to be sure. But otherwise, we're not losing any. I mean, the water pump hasn't even been weeping. So, yeah, I consider this a success, guys. So the water pump's completed. It's actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I mean, despite the recording, I think it probably took me less than 2 hours. So something to keep in mind. That's probably the easiest thing I've done on this car. And of course, with everything new, we did a radiator flush, or coolant flush rather. I'll post another video on how to do that. But we did run some cycles and get the engine up to temp and drain, get the engine up to temp and drain. But the process itself, I kind of made some concept about that. I'll post that afterwards, but just wanted to run through how to replace the water pump, because apparently this is a common issue on these cars. So, but here's the old water pump here. Very tiny, not what I'm really used to seeing. Usually working on V8. So this thing shows no signs of failure, really. I mean, it's not very smooth when turning. I mean, that could be a problem. Maybe it's just not flowing as well as it should. But yeah, that's how you change a water pump on a Dodge Avenger or Chrysler 200 or whatever. If this helped you, subscribe, like, the whole bit. See you guys on the next one.